What is going on, everybody? Welcome back, and today we're going to be talking about the SIG RXP X Carry. So this is a little bit different. You've got like a full size, you've got the X series, and you've got the X Compact, then you have the RXP Compact, the RXP Carry. When you go on SIG's website, you're really going to have a tough time whether you're trying to figure out if you're finding a new range hammer or whether you're going to be trying to do some Roman numeral math. So a little bit different, and we're going to get into all of the specs on this thing here, but let's address an issue before we go any further, and that is the stash. It's terrible, it's dirty, it's like 3 months in, it's not working out, but I'm not no easy win, and we're gonna keep going with it just to see if I can actually grow some facial hair for the first time in my life. Now the SIG 320 RXP X Carry, what is the difference here? This is like that hybrid design. So think Glock 45, maybe that FN 509 Tactical. We've got a full-size grip here, shortened length on the slide, a little bit better of a trigger in there. So it's the hybrid setup. We've also got the ability to run those 21 round factory SIG mags, but they do not come with it. You're gonna get 17 round mags with this one. Then you also have the option to put a mag well on here. I have that mag well on here. It's not coming with it. You have to buy it separately. And there is a little bit of an issue we'll talk about later when you put that on there, as far as your magazine compatibility. Now that X series trigger and frame is quite a bit nicer. That X frame's got a better profile to it. That X trigger you can see is that nice kind of forward set flat face trigger. So it's got cleaner and better overall lines and a better overall feel, at least in my opinion. Now this is the LE model, so it's a tiny bit different. I was able to find one of these, guy had it locally, and I went ahead and picked it up. So this specific one came with 3 magazines on it, and it comes with the Romeo 1 Pro. This specific one, being the LE version, came with the shroud installed. So that's an aftermarket piece that SIG also offers, and we'll take a look at that here again once we get into this thing. And make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, definitely like the video, and let me know down below if you're into the SIG thing and why or why not. Now with SIG, I've not always been the biggest fan. My old boss used to say, SIG builds a great $500 gun for 800 bucks. Not digging on SIG too hard there, but he literally just thought they were a little bit overpriced. And it was just kind of something funny that we always used to say to each other when we had that one friend that would carry a SIG. Now I've had SIGs over the years, from the 220s to the 226s. I've been able to shoot a ton of them, some of the 1911 stuff. And I've owned a bunch, like I said, and I just really never had seller's remorse when I got rid of them. So recently I picked up that SIG M17 with the no safety version. I'll leave a link down below for that video. And I really enjoyed the way that thing ran out there on the range, but something was odd, and that had to do with the grip. And the factory grip on the 320s is kind of almost makes you feel like you've got like a stress ball in your hand, is kind of how I explain it to people. So this X Series one definitely felt quite a bit better. Although Polymer 80 has their grip module out for the SIG platform now, and I can tell you that thing is really a huge improvement, especially over that factory grip. And I'll do have a review on that coming soon, but I'm still out there testing it, but it'll be here in probably a few weeks. So with all that being said, how did this little piggy perform out there on the range? And first thing, before we talk about the actual bullets, let's talk about that dry fire. Definitely take advantage of dry fire, especially when you're testing something out for the first time. You really need to get used to the angles of it, you know, those magazine exchanges. It's gonna save you rounds out there on the range. So I've been doing a lot of dry fire here in the house, which is good because, you know, initially when I picked this up in the store, I was like, it feels pretty good. But the feel in the store doesn't tell you everything you're gonna need to know. Much like the H&K VP9 I did a video on, that thing felt absolutely amazing in the hand at the store. And then when I got it out to the range the first few times, I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. A little bit different here. So for the SIG, the X Carry here, held it at the store, I was like, it feels pretty good. Bought it, brought it home, started doing the dry fire, manipulations drills, just, you know, transitions with targets in here. And before I know it, at the end of the day, I heard a little bit of that Barry White music saying, darling, love, I can't get enough of you. No, nobody's ever done that but me. All right, so we'll keep moving forward. So I did that dry fire, went out to the range, warmed up with a little bit more dry fire, and then I started dumping those rounds. And I really like to do some different shooting drills that just kind of help me break myself into my new tool for the day. One of those is definitely going to be the build drill. So you draw from the holster and you're going to fire 6 rounds. You'll see on these, I kind of step it down and I don't fire a full 6 round. 1, because I got a little bit of trigger freeze. And 2, I was just still getting used to the angles. So what that build drill is going to tell you is how you are performing with it, obviously. The recoil impulse, maybe recoil anticipation, the trigger control, speed, all that stuff. That's kind of a throttle drill. It's gonna let you know where your braking point is. It's also gonna help build you into getting used to this new thing. So it's a great drill. Now, of course, the 1R1s, draw from the holster, do that 1 round, do that magazine exchange, go back up. Those are great. And the reason those are great because it's gonna put you under a little bit of time. It's gonna really work those angles of how this is gonna work in your wrist and how you're gonna be able to align those sights quickly. So that is definitely good. Whether you're doing a 1 round reload, 2, whatever you're gonna do, 1 load, 1 round transition to a target, all that stuff is gonna help break you into your new range hammer. Moving on from that one of the things I really like to do as well is just transition drills. So from a shot timer or just the command of threat or whatever you're working with, or just drawing from the holster or the low ready, is just coming up onto that target or drawing, coming out, shooting a couple rounds, maybe 2 or 3, and then transitioning to another target. Now for me, what that's gonna do is 1, work on your transition skills. It's gonna work on your trigger control, but it's also gonna work on how you're aligning. Maybe your wrist is in a different angle. Maybe your sights aren't perfectly aligned. Maybe you just need to make a slight change to your grip out there because it's something new. And that's why I like doing those, because it really helps me identify issues or shortcomings I may have with my new chosen weapon system. And then of course, the bare standard drill. I shoot that a lot because I love it, because it works on so much as far as skills goes, and it's so fun. So the bare standard drill, it's a free drill. Bear Solutions came up with it, the guy that owns the company, XSF dude. So from the holster, you're basically gonna draw, you're gonna put 5 rounds in one 4x6 box, transition, 4x6 box again, 5 more rounds, do that empty gun reload, and then you're gonna go 3 rounds in a 3-inch circle. Great drill. You're working on everything from draw, grip, presentation, recoil control, trigger control, a little bit of fast, cadence, speed, a little bit of precision with that smaller dot. You can shoot it right to left, left to right, distances can change. It's really just a great drill, and it's a ton of fun, especially when you get to make fun of your friends out there on the range. Because anytime you're having fun, at least for me, I know I'm gonna retain more of that knowledge. It's kind of like the military. The drill sergeant said, pain enhances the body's ability to retain knowledge. Well, fun will often have the same effect without the painful side effects. Now, I do have a bunch of stuff coming for these already as far as the P80 frame, a different barrel, a full custom slide, some different sights, some different mag wells. We're gonna do everything. The triggers, we're gonna do all that stuff for the SIG that we do with everything else here, because I know you guys are interested in it. If you're interested in the SIG stuff, let me know what you're interested in seeing down below, and I'll see what I can and cannot get in to start running some tests on all this stuff. Well, let's talk point of aim, point of impact for a second. So from that draw to where your aim is to where the shot is actually landing, I found it very, very comfortable, especially with the X grip. A little bit less with the standard 320 grip on that M17. The X grip was definitely a vast improvement. We're gonna go ahead and get into all the specs on this thing. We're gonna talk about how the trigger works, why the trigger disconnects the way it does, the changes in the trigger in the newer versions of it, and of course, just the overall stuff that everybody wants to know about, to include the 21 round mags, the 17 round mags, the mag well, and the issues it may cause with your 17 round magazines, or will cause unless you change your base plates. Huge shout out to all of my subscribe stars. You guys are a massive help to the channel. Like, share, subscribe. Let's go ahead and get into this thing right now. All right, let's get right into this because there is a lot to go over in this 320 RXP X carry. We're gonna go right through the specs, take a quick look at this, break it apart, show you how the trigger works, do all the things you wanna know. All right, this specific model, RXP X carry, generally comes with 2 of the 17 round mags. This is the LE version, so I got 3. 9mm semi-automatic, 17+1. This one's black. It's the only color that they offer the X frame in right now that I think I know of. The slide finish is the Nitron from SIG. It has the tall X-ray sights in there with the green front, night sight front and rear. Comes with the Romeo 1 Pro optic. This one, like I said, is the LE version, so it came with the protective shroud on it. Barrel length on this bad boy is 3.9 inches, a little bit longer than the compact. Overall length 7.5, 29.5 ounces, not bad at all. And that is about it. Let's go ahead and just take a good overall quick look at this thing from magwell to muzzle and talk about some stuff. The X grip is quite a bit different. Doesn't kind of give you that ball feeling in the hand. Coming up, we got that great texture. The reason I'm not talking about the magwell yet is because it didn't come with it. I added it on. Good texture all the way. 1 finger groove, nicely rounded off in here. Work your way up into that metal mag release button, which is reversible. Good stuff there. Got that nice texture on the backside as well. That good full beaver tail helps you control that recoil impulse. Come up a little bit higher. It's nicely sectioned down in here, so you're not going to accidentally activate the controls while you're in that firing position. Move forward, take down lever, pick rail, everything you would expect here. Got that nice flat X series trigger in there, which feels quite a bit better than the standard ones. Opposite side, ambidextrous control, you can see there. Got that window for your firing control group, because if you don't know, the frame here is just a part. So the fire control group in here, which we'll pull out in a second, is the actual piece. Come all the way to the front. It's nicely kind of chamfered right there. You can see it, so it matches up very nicely with the slide and the frame there. Nice little additional detail. Standard looking backplate right there. All of us in the striker fire world are pretty real aware of how these look. Coming forward, good cocking serrations here. Nicely chamfer cut all the way down the slide. Serrations here, you can work from either the bottom or the top. Got that standard barrel in there. You can see wearing a little bit more than usual, but it's still gonna run. Got about 1,000 rounds through this thing. Just gonna break this down, talk about the trigger, and talk about why it breaks down the way it does. So you gotta lock this back, throw your takedown lever down. What that's doing is actually disconnecting the trigger, and we'll talk more about that in a second. Pull it forward. No need to disengage the trigger here. Recoil spring, guide rod, standard thing here. Take a quick look at this barrel. Like I said, a little bit of kind of early wear across the hood there, but nothing I'm concerned about. Extremely accurate, did everything I needed it to. Look up in there, under 1,000 rounds, like I said, wearing exactly as I would expect. Man, look at those sights. Look how bright that green is. That thing's just crazy. So we'll go ahead and leave this apart for now, and we'll take apart, at least show you the striker assembly here. So what you're gonna do is press in on that button right there. Push the back plate down. Keep your thumb over it because it is under spring tension, of course. Pull that off. Now your extractor, depressor, plunger system here is actually what holds in this by a little notch that's right there. You can just barely see it on the edge. Turn that over, your extractor pops right out. Pull your striker assembly out. So your striker assembly here is pretty interesting. So it's kind of almost a little bit like the CZ, a little bit like the FN509. So your striker block safety is actually built into the striker assembly. You can see that blade right there. Your actual striker is in here with the spring cups and the spring. Interesting design. We're not going to break this thing all the way down. I just wanted you to see kind of the differences there. So it goes back in the exact opposite version of operations. Put your striker assembly in. Put your extractor end, make sure that barrel end is facing the rear, otherwise it's not going to work right, and you won't be able to get it in anyways. So that little edge, that little notch right there, okay, is going to go in there, and that's what retains your extractor. So you can see it fits in there just like that right over it. Good to go there. Grab your back plate, slide it up in the grooves, pressing down on the striker assembly, work it up, push down on your EDP assembly, lock it all the way in, pull down, make sure it's good. Everything else here you guys know how to do, and then we're going to talk about how this trigger actually functions. So like I said, effectively what you're doing right here when you rotate your takedown lever is you're disconnecting the trigger. So as you can see right now, the sear is not moving up and down. It is pretty much a dead trigger. Let's explain how this thing does actually work though. Flip this back forward, manipulate up your slide lock, slide release, and that's going to give you full activation of the trigger. So this is going to be a mechanical disconnect right here, that little edge poking up right there. This part moving up and down right here is your sear, and then that little arm that moves all the way up, get you the best look I can, that little arm popping all the way up right here, that's actually your striker block disconnector. So that part, that little arm, is moving up and it's pushing on your safety block, which is this blade right here, which if you press that, it allows the striker to go all the way forward like that. If it's not pressed, it won't go. So as you pull the trigger, that little arm is going up, disconnects the safety on your striker right there. As you pull, your sear right here goes down, releases the striker lug. So once that is released, it goes bang. This mechanical disconnect comes out of that little notch right there in the slide and begins to run along that inside edge of the slide. So as you pull the trigger, the slide's coming back. You're going to watch the sear right there, okay? Pay attention to that part right there. As this edge begins to ride along the inside of that frame and it comes out of that notch, you'll see the sear pop up. Once that sear pops up, the slide comes forward, the striker lug grabs onto the grooves on the sear, and that trigger fully resets and that mechanical disconnect goes back up into that notch, and you are good to go again. So when you break this down and you're manipulating that lever, you'll see that little arm in there is going to move right about here. You'll see it. So you can see that movement in the slide lock, slide stop lever. That's disconnecting everything in there, so it's really not going to work. So that is how they've overcome the differences in how they break down. Go ahead and lock this back. Let's do some trigger pulls on this bad boy so we all know what it's pulling at. We'll do 3 just like we do on everything else, and then we'll get rocking and rolling, talking about some of those other parts that are coming. So let me get that to zoom in there for you. A little bit bright on the lights, guys. I know, I apologize for that. We are looking right there, 4 pounds and 4 ounces. That's actually a little bit low. It's been pulling a little bit higher than that, but I do have a few more rounds through this thing than I did the last time I checked, and I'm pulling low on that trigger bar. And as you know, the lower you go on the pull weight. Okay, so again, we are right there. Let me get this in so you can see it. Good Lord, work with me, camera. So again, 4 pounds and 4 ounces, pretty consistent right there. That's quite a bit lighter. We'll do one last one. That's, like I said, that's lighter than what I've been getting the first times I broke it out the box. Right there, 4.5 pounds. That is what I have been seeing and what I was expecting. Extremely consistent on that trigger. Now let's talk about a couple of those things that are coming for my SIG fans. One, that Polymer 80 grip module, that Polymer 80 magwell. Loving this thing. We're going to talk more about that here in a minute. I do have a full custom slide from Live Free Armory. Got the new Swamp Fox Liberty with their protective shroud. Man, I tell you what, that slide just looks absolutely mean. And then I do have a barrel in here, and I got to cover the manufacturer's name because I'm actually still testing this. It's not out yet. But I do have this barrel, very nice, very clean looking, and it shoots very precise, which is what I would expect. I have an aftermarket barrel. We're gonna have triggers and all kinds of stuff coming. Let's go ahead, wrap this thing up, talk more about my feelings on this, and if I like SIG overall after testing this out. This was an absolutely tough review. Like I said, I've not always been the biggest fan of SIG, but I wasn't really somebody who hated the brand either. I just never had that seller's remorse when I got one and then eventually got rid of it. So I've got to say, this was a little bit of a challenge for me to buy, use, run, and then kind of really be unbiased. But I bought the full-size one too, which should kind of let you know that I did have a good experience. We're going to get into that more here in just a minute. Now, I really did enjoy the way the M17 out there on the range was, which is what prompted me into this. I do have to say the X grip, being that hybrid design, the short slide, the full-length grip, 17 round plus 1 capacity, definitely far better in my opinion than the compact stuff. I'm just not a huge compact fan. I really do like the hybrids better because of the size of my hands. And I always found that I was running mag extensions on compacts, so I prefer this carry design better. So a little bit of a secret, I kind of really liked the thing and I did not think that was going to be my experience. So going out there on the range, fired absolutely great. And this is normally when I do my positives and negatives, you know, things that maybe could have been done a little better or that I didn't like or that just didn't fit my style. And I've got to say, and I absolutely cannot believe I'm saying this, it was really all positive here. Because when I really nailed things down and tried to stay objectives, the things that I were like, well, that could be better, they were more preference issues, right? It's not that there were problems, it was a preference thing. The one thing I will say, SIG, I'm paying enough for this thing, give me the magwell. Not everybody wants a magwell, so that's a preference thing. The 17 rounds won't work with the X magwell. Make your mags work with everything, but again, this is a preference thing. So I kind of made that a wash. Now the other thing that I thought of, which people have said, the Delta Point Pro Romeo 1 Pro cut. Lots of people carry both those optics. That is again a preference, and if you don't like that, then you can buy a plate and put something different on there. As far as everything else goes, again, like I said, I cannot believe I'm saying this. I had very, very positive experiences with this thing out on the range, especially with all the different types of ammo, which led me to kind of have a more positive feeling about this. So generally I'm gonna shoot different types of ammo, everything from like Spear Gold Dot Plus P, maybe some G2. I'm gonna shoot dirty junk frange ammunition. I'm gonna shoot reloads if I have any. And I'm gonna shoot like white box, 115 grain, 124, whatever, anything I can get my hands on, just to kind of, use it, see if it's gonna run on it, see how it's gonna feel on it. And the one thing that I have to say is, on all of that ammo, and I don't know why, but being out and actually using it, I didn't feel as big of a difference in the recoil impulse or the controllability when I was using that higher pressure ammo. And normally I can tell when I've got to one of those high pressure rounds. Even in my 1911s, I can generally tell that was a good one. So this was a little bit different here, and it may have something to do with that extended beaver tail, but that was a huge positive in my book. I literally almost feel like I was cheating with this thing because it felt really good out on the range, to the point, like I said, I went out and I bought the full size one as well, and I will have a review on that coming out soon. But since it's such a different size and everything, it deserves its own video. But it was really good. And I know I've said that a couple times, but it's just odd for me to have something that performed and that I liked that good right out of the box. So I guess at this point, SIG's kind of got me by the gonads. I am really curious to know if you guys are into the SIG thing, if you like the 320 platform, and why. Because I didn't think I was going to. I didn't have high expectations, like I said, and I ended up leaving the range with a very positive experience. Make sure you guys absolutely hammer the subscribe button, like the video, and leave me a comment down below, because it really is enjoyable to get into all that engagement and learn everybody else's experiences and the things they've gone through in their journey kind of through the Second Amendment and making their choices. Huge thank you to all of you guys, and especially my subscribe stars. You guys are a massive help to the channel. I do have a ton of exclusive content coming out for you guys in the subscribe star real soon. That'll be ongoing. And of course, some more giveaways for you guys all on there. Get out there, enjoy some range time, everybody. Stay safe, stay ready, conserve your ammo, do the dry fire, and I will see you guys on the next one.